I Hitchhiked into a Mysterious Town, Part 1 by TylerSleeper. As a vagabond, I'm always skipping from town to town. There's no final destination, only the endless journey. My backpack consists of another set of clothes, a bottle of water, toothbrush, and a roll of toilet paper for brown emergencies. And of course, my phone, which I'm writing this on, and its charger. Life on the road can give the most beautiful sightings, with astonishing landscapes and vintage buildings. But beauty degrades from repetition, and the boredom can be overwhelming. So I entertain myself in public libraries, reading any stories by Agatha Christie or Holmesian mysteries. I wish I was still at the library right now, instead of being here in the stormy rain in some rusty bus stop, sticking my thumb out for a ride. Thankfully, only about 15 minutes passed when a hippie van resembling the one from Scooby-Doo stopped by. The driver, who coincidentally looked like Shaggy in a lime-colored flower shirt, wound down his window. "Hey dude, need a lift?" "Yeah man, thanks," I said. "Okay, hop in the back seat, my dude." The guy next to me in the back seat wore a cowboy's hat and looked like he was zoned out into another dimension, staring out his window into the stormy clouds. I'm quite sure he didn't even realize me sitting next to him. The girl sitting in the front passenger seat was clearly passed out too. I've been around enough hippie types to know that this is a common sight. I don't have anything against this sort of hippie culture, just as long as they don't try to force it on me. "Sup man, my name's Dave. Heading anywhere special?" said the driver. "Not really, just anywhere with shelter right now is good." "Ah, this storm, huh? She's a nasty one tonight," the driver said. "Oh yeah, I hope the mystery machine can handle this," I cleverly joked. "Ah, good one! I can tell you one thing, my friend. This baby got a set of wheels for real," Dave said as he shifted gears and started speeding up. I enjoyed Dave's personality, but had been awake for the last 18 hours, and I asked him if it would be okay if I got some shut-eye for the moment. "Oh, that's fine. We're just driving down until we hit the next town. Is that cool with you?" "Sweet as," I replied, taking the cowboy's hat off the dude next to me and covering my eyes with it. An abrupt stop caused the seatbelt to choke me for a second. Up, it's time to go, let's refuel," Dave commanded us all in the van. "Is it a gas station?" the girl in the passenger seat said groggily. "Sandwiches, any sandwiches," said the guy next to me excitedly. Dave pointed ahead. "Not refuel for the van, dudes. Refuel for us." We were parked in front of a bar, which had at its top a neon-lit sign that said Hades Pub. All three rushed into the pub while I checked what time it was. It was around 2:35 a.m. Getting out of the van, I noticed a pungent, salty smell, and turning around, I found myself facing the sea. There was fog. Just fog. Not even the light of the full moon was able to penetrate through it. Looking to my left, there were fishing docks and boathouses. Then at my right were a line of bait shops. I still couldn't see very far as the fog seemed to seep into every street of the town. Just as I was about to turn to the pub, I caught a glimpse of a shiny object out at sea. Curiosity piqued, I moved to the edge of the platform, squinting my eyes, holding onto the railings and poking my neck out as far as possible. I caught the shine again. It was from goggles? The goggles were reflecting the pub's neon light. Well, there's nothing too out of the ordinary, I thought to myself. That's until the fog cleared a bit. The goggles were attached to a long-beaked mask, and that mask was worn by someone. They were darkly clothed from head to toe, wearing a full-length hooded overcoat, boots, gloves, and a wide-brimmed hat. The dark figure just sat there on a small paddle boat, motionless. At this point, I wasn't even sure if it was a real person, or just a prank, or some sort of seaside scarecrow. I looked around to gather some pebbles and threw it towards the thing. With my first throw, the pebble hit the water about a meter away from its side. The mask swiftly turned to face that direction. Oh, this thing was alive, all right. It did the same thing with my second and third pebble throw. I waved my hands like a madman and screamed out, "Hey!" It looked towards me, goggles in full shine. and returned a slow wave until it was swallowed by the thick fog. Well, that was creepy. Not threateningly creepy, but oddly creepy. I see strange things in every town I go to, so I just whatevered that experience off and made my way into the pub. I entered what seemed like an old western saloon. There were a decent amount of people around, though most were passed out. There was a drunken crowd over at one corner playing pool and darts. Then I spotted the hippie crew at one end of the front bar, already chugging drinks. There weren't any seats left at their side of the bar, so I just sat on the other side. "What'll it be for you, sir?" Welcomed the bartender, who looked like Batman's butler, but a lot younger. "I don't have any money on me. I'm just here to..." "Glass of water coming right up," he interrupted. "Ah, reading his name tag," I said. "Thanks, Karen." "New in town? Fisherman or vagabond?" he asked, handing a drink my way. I answered truthfully and took a sip and asked, "So what's good in this town?" "You know how every town has its own niche. What's it here?" Karen shrugged. "Was known as a fisherman's paradise. An amateur could come along and fish up in abundance. But that was long ago. Overfishing happened, and now it's in its current state. It's the most sleepiest town you'll ever visit." I'm sorry to hear that," I said, taking another gulp. "Well, what are the people around here like?" I asked. Karen chuckled. "Nothing but superstitious crazies." "Oh, they're a superstitious bunch. What do we believe here then?" I asked. "They think there's a family of mermaids who sing to fishermen and try to lure them into the sea in an effort to drown them." Where did all of this come from?" I asked. "Well, every now and then a fisherman would go missing throughout the night." Karen let out another heavy sigh. "However, it can be explained by how drunk they tend to get while fishing. It's a boring job. You just set out your line and wait for hours for a big catch. So of course they drink during the downtime. Then they stumble off the dock and suddenly they're bait for their big catch." "Huh. I see. I can see that. At least you're rational," I said. "Sometimes I wish I wasn't. Ignorance is bliss. I truly believe that," Karen said as he gazed into the beer glass that he was polishing. I wanted to ponder Karen's words, but was busting to take a pee at this point. "Excuse me, Karen. Got a loo in here," to which he pointed down the hallway. "It's at the end. Take a right." While doing my business, I read the scribbles on the wall. It said, "Baron's squad rules the town. Beware the Kraken. Cthulhu cometh." All of this was scribbled on the walls. Going back into the bar, I noticed my seat had now been taken by a young man with an oversized backpack, probably about twice the lad's mass. No problem. I'll chat with the fellow. Karen was now serving the hippies anyway. I took a seat next to him. "Hey, man, you a backpacker?" He turned and offered a handshake. "Oaka is the name, best merchant in the town and country." "Oh, okay. And what are your goods?" I asked. Not that I had any money to buy anything, but I was curious. "Anything," he said. I had never been hit so hard by confusion. What are you talking about?" "I have anything and everything that one could possibly desire," he said with a straight face. Okay, Uaka. That's all right there in your bag that you're wearing?" I asked. He nodded. "Well, what about that glass of water on the table?" I pointed to it. "I wanted that, but it's not in your bag," I said, trolling him. Oaka quickly grabbed the glass and then, without even pouring the water out, threw it into his backpack. "I have a glass of water. Do you wish to purchase it?" he said in a serious tone. No, I don't, not really," I said, shaking my head. "Well, now that I've proven that I really do have anything you want in my bag, what do you want to purchase?" he said, staring intensely into my eyes. I felt like if there was a time to stop trolling, it would be now. Honestly, man, I'm not looking for anything. I was just curious, I said. Oh, there must be something you want. Everybody's looking for something. Do you want a new heart? A new brain? I can transform you into a mermaid if you'd like. What the? I thought to myself. I wanted to bolt out of there, but was somewhat paralyzed by the merchant's cold stare. Glass shattering and shouting came from across the room. Some guy grabbed Hippie Dave by the collar of his shirt and was about to throw a jab. You tree-hugging piece of... Hey, shouted Karen. Give it a rest, Baron. They're not even regulars. They'll be gone by tomorrow, Karen commanded. And it's closing time too. So everybody out. The guy dropped his fist and let go of Dave. Yeah, I'll make sure they're gone. Then he gave Dave the cold shoulder and whispered, You better watch yourself tonight, as he exited the pub with his entourage, walking down the street. That means you guys too, Karen said, turning to us. Uwaka quickly got up and exited the pub, running down the street to the left. Hey, who was that guy? I asked. Baron. Well, he likes to think of himself as a tough guy around town, but he only acts that way because his dad's the chief of police here, said Karen. No, not that guy. The guy that was next to me. The young guy with the huge bag. Oh, that's Uwaka. He's a merchant that comes by town every year or so. A strange boy, but he's harmless. Don't worry if he creeps you out. All right then, I said as I turned to leave. I saw Dave and the crew already walking down the street towards the left. I ran out of the pub, sprinting towards where I last saw them, but any trace of theirs was now lost in the fog. Well, my luck's run out. Lost contact with the hippies, so there's no point of going back to the van without keys, and the pub was surely closed by now. It's fine, I told myself. We'll eventually meet up tomorrow and leave this place behind. I kept walking along the docks, and I found a nice spot for the night. It was at the back of a shop where I moved some empty barrels around to make a little fort to somewhat protect myself against the ocean breeze. Thick sailing ropes for blankets, and bundles of fishing line were used for a pillow. As far as improvised shelters went, this was one of my most comfy, though smelly. As I was almost dozing off, I heard a splashing sound, like a barrel being dropped into the water. Could just be a fisherman setting out some fishing cages, I thought. Then came a sharp scream that was cut short by the sounds of bone. This time I got to my feet but stayed low, using the barrels as my cover. I crept from barrel to make my way to the docks where I had heard the splashing. When I finally got to the barrel closest to the dock, I slowly edged my head out and tried to see if anything was going on. Nothing was out of the ordinary. No one was here. The scene was as still as a picture apart from the slowly drifting fog. I crept up to the edge of the dock and scanned my eyes over the water. Detection successful as I spotted a figure floating. It had a lime-colored shirt on it. Dave. His head was underwater and no bubbles were coming up. He was a goner. I then reminded myself of the scream I had heard earlier. Maybe there were hostiles around. Every instinct that I had told me to turn and run. But I also had to remind myself that Dave had the keys to the van, which still had my bag inside of it, and it was my best way out of this town. I searched around for anything that could be used to pull Dave, or at least his shirt, which I remembered seeing him keep the keys in, back to shore. A fishing net was attached to a stick. Wait, no, that's not enough reach. Maybe a fishing line and a hook. Too hard to get it hooked on. A cast net. Perfect. If I can just throw this on top of Dave, then I can just slowly drag him in. I gathered the net and went to the edge, preparing myself for the throw. Okay, I got this, I said, practicing my throwing motion. And a 1, and a 2, and a 3, I yelled. Then, Dave's body instantly sank as if it was pulled down by a shark or a kraken's tentacle. I stumbled back, crashing on my butt. I needed to get away fast. I bolted up and ran into town. My rapid and heavy footsteps were surely enough to wake up a few of the townsfolk, but I couldn't care less. At my lungs' breaking point, I stopped at a barn which seemed to be abandoned since no livestock were inside. I went to a corner and made myself a bed from the remaining haystacks. As much as I wanted to leave town, I'd have to rest for the night. Too many risks come from traveling at night on foot. But how am I going to leave now? Maybe in the morning I'll ask Karen to help hotwire the van, or I can always try hitting the road and start hitchhiking again. I'm not even sure what I'm running from. Some sort of sea creature? No way. That's absolute crazy talk. Detective Holmes would be ashamed of my thinking. I gotta be more rational about this. I have to calm myself and let my fear drain out. I'll have a much clearer mind in the morning. But in the meantime, any suggestions?